it's Drybear. And we need to talk about the trading system update coming for the First Descendant. So last week we talked about the Dev Live, going over the details and changes that they're making to the game, with the update coming in 2 days on Thursday, November 6th. However, one of the systems that came online as part of that discussion was the player-to-player trading system, which has a bunch of restrictions on it. And since then, there has been a lot of discussion in the community and with people that care a lot about the First Descendant on issues with the trading system. However, today we did get an official response to the developers on what they're changing based on the feedback. So let's dive in. So to get everyone caught up to speed, this is what we're talking about. This is the still they showed during their dev broadcast last week, going over, what the trading system is going to be. So let's just reiterate what's not changing about the trade system so you know exactly how this functions. There will be a buyer to seller relationship, and the only things that can be traded with November 6th will be trigger modules and the brand new Ancestor modules, which are very Riven-esque or Riven adjacent. These are basically randomly generated modules that can give you varying amounts of power that you drop during the game. However, they also put another restriction on this, in that not only is the trade item restricted to only trigger modules and the new Ancestor modules, but also these modules cannot be traded until they've been in the game for a full month, which means that basically in 2 days' time, we will be able to trade pre-existing trigger modules to other players for the cost of Caliber, which is their premium currency, a real money conversion to a premium currency in-game. Now, the new Ancestor modules and the brand new trigger modules that are coming online with the Thursday update are not going to be available for trade until a month later into December. However, when you trade these, there was a very specific call out from this that ended up getting addressed by developers today. So you can see down at the bottom, you see this icon here, this little coin. This is Caliber. It's a premium currency. You spend real life money to turn this into a premium currency, and this is what they use for trades. And player-to-player trading using premium currency is not entirely new. Warframe does this. Several other games do. Not a lot of games do, but several do, and it is referenceable from that standpoint. So this kind of creates an interesting ecosystem for the game overall. Now, the argument you can make that's pro-player trading is that it allows the people that are low spenders to be able to spend their time instead in order to make premium currency or be part of the ecosystem in the game itself. If you've ever played games like Star Wars Galaxies or stuff like that, where it is very much based on a player-to-player trading ecosystem, you need to have the gatherers, you need to have the tradesmen, you need to have the craftsmen, you need to have the sellers and the marketplaces and the tradeskeepers and that kind of thing in order to create an ecosystem where people can trade. And you want that because it allows people that, have a lot of time but not a lot of money to farm up the things that they can then sell to other players. And if players have, disposable income or money that they can comfortably part with, which not everyone does nowadays, depending on where you live and what your socioeconomic status is, that allows the people that have the disposable income to buy the things that normally would take them time to farm up. And this has implications for the pay-to-win aspect of the game, has implications for bots and abuse as well. Anytime you're exchanging currency between players, you're going to have to run into the bot farms that farm up these things and sell them, then convert that money into real money or do real money transactions and sell that stuff online in order to make money, that sort of thing. But there was a portion of the trading system that a lot of people fixated on, which is this part down here. So you'll notice the trade amount, and this is just a mock-up. This isn't like a completed thing, but you'll notice that the seller on the left is selling these items to the buyer. The seller is asking for 40 Caliber from the buyer, and that is going to be the exchange. So you get these 3 trigger modules for 40 Caliber, and that's good to go. However, you'll also notice down at the bottom here, there is a trade fee. Now, any marketplace system, any trade system needs to have some form of entropy or garbage collection. That is, it takes away as you do things, so it keeps the market kind of cleaning itself and grooming itself constantly so it doesn't get super inflated or completely out of control. So I would say a trade fee, a tax, a commission fee, whatever you want to call it, is very norm for trade systems, marketplace systems, auction house systems. That is very, very normal. And personally, when you look at this from a very high level, having a premium currency tax applied to these is not in itself all that unusual or realistically naturally evil or dark patterning. Now, I would argue that most people that have used these kind of systems before probably thought nothing of the trade fee and the fact that it was a real money transaction. Now, obviously, this has more to talk about, so we're going to continue this discussion, but I think in general, people that have gotten used to more Eastern style gameplay, you know, like pay to win games, buy for play, pay for convenience, a lot of Korean, you know, like Chinese, Japanese MMOs specifically, or like pay to play or pay to win style games, this is like very, you know, minimalized and not really that big of a deal. However, there are other aspects that really bring this online that is worth discussing as well. The first of those is the fact that I would argue that most of the cosmetics and items that you buy in the First Descendant inherently are already above market price, which means that you are paying a large premium for the items and cosmetics that you get in the First Descendant relative to either A, the competitors you see on the market, or B, the quality and quantity of items you're getting back from that purchase, right? And a lot of times nowadays, games, especially if they're free to play, they've been experimenting for the last 5 to 10 years on how high can we raise these prices, right? Riot releasing a $500 skin. We have $60 or $100 mounts in World of Warcraft. We've got tons of really expensive, you know, games that have like skins that range from $20 to $50 or $60 for a single skin. So that I think is a big part of it too, is if you're already spending, you know, $15 to $30 on a skin pack or bundle inside of the First Descendant, and then you're also losing some of that when you're trying to, you know, buy up trigger modules or ancestor modules, that can be a little bit of a I guess let's call it insult to injury, or maybe just adding a little bit extra, you know, when you take an inch, you take a mile, that kind of thing. It just kind of adds to that perspective. What you also have to think about too is that they're creating scarcity with this too. The reason people would want to get trigger modules or would want to get ancestor modules is because they're entirely random. The ones that you get are pretty powerful in many cases. The ancestor modules seem like they're going to be basically equipping a second reactor on your character, but instead you're going to put it in your module slot instead of your reactor slot, which does give you, again, a coveted source of power that is heavily regulated. You can't really get like skill power raw from a reactor anywhere else than just the reactor. So having ancestor modules is going to be a big increase, but they're forcing scarcity with these because they're making it so you can only get a certain number of ancestor modules every single week. Like you're time gated on the ancestor modules that you get. And this adds another layer to this discussion because obviously if you could farm them infinitely, that would lower the desire to go onto the trade website or onto the trade board and look for modules that you may want, because you could just keep farming and farming and farming, which is basically what TFD is. It's just farming over and over until you get tired and go play something else. Then you get the itch again and you come back and you farm, that sort of thing. But by limiting the chance of drop and the frequency of drop, as well as randomizing the results, it means that you're going to be looking for that perfectly rolled ancestor module or that perfectly rolled trigger module. Even with the trigger modules right now, it's not that hard to farm it. So the big question is, with the ancestor modules, if they're going to be time gating how many we can get and then encouraging you to use this trade system if you want to get the best rolled ones, does the trade system need to be as aggressive as it is, depending on what your perspective is? So after last week's Dev Live, they have received a bunch of feedback, they've read all the forums and posts, and then they came together and did an official dev response. Now for this one, it seems like they just popped into a conference room, picked up one of the Zoom cams, and just recorded this, but for some reason, someone needed to come in and look at the bloom, because it looks like they're recording this from the surface of the sun. Like it is just so like bleached out with how much white light, fluorescent light is in this room, but they just wanted to kind of come in and do this. And honestly, this is great. I love when developers do this. They just came on and said, hey, we recognize that people had feedback on the trading system, so we're going to be changing the trading system based on what we've seen. And that change is they are changing the trade fee to be gold instead of caliber. So now you're just going to be selling your trigger modules and ancestor modules for caliber, and the seller is going to be putting up a gold amount. Now, realistically, gold is one of the most throwaway currencies in this game. I have never dropped below 200 million gold over the last 6 months. I just, no matter how many modules they add, no matter how much, I just can't seem to go lower than that, no matter what I upgrade. It's just gold is so easy to get and you get so much of it. Now, it doesn't mean that there aren't players that don't play as much as I do, that don't have as much as I do, that are going to feel that. And it depends on the price too, because obviously if the trade fee was $1 billion in gold, that would be a problem. But I realistically think it's going to be something a lot more reasonable, anywhere from like, 300,000 to a couple million gold, which even then isn't really all that much as long as you play the game any small amount. But that's what they're going to be changing. They're changing the trade fee from premium currency to a soft currency of gold, and then making the full price be part of the caliber, which means that you're going to be paying a gold price in order to sell. If you're buying, you only have to spend caliber. You'll get the transaction done, get the caliber in your account, and it does mean that people will be able to farm really good drops from Wall Crasher, from doing Axian Plains, and also from doing the new Ancestor module drops from the new Harris dungeon that we can do. They're going to get all of those, they're going to start selling them, and realistically, if we believe these prices, maybe after like 20 trades, you can buy yourself a nice little swimsuit skin or something like that, if that's what you're looking for, because there isn't really anything else besides cosmetics that you would probably want to spend your caliber on. Now, they also mentioned that this change is not going to be taking place until November 20th. So, 2.5 weeks from that, the patch that's coming on Thursday is going to be everything but player trading. That they're going to make this change to make sure it's gold only, and then ship that in a couple weeks afterwards. So, which means that, the Ancestor modules, instead of being available December 6th, they'll probably be available December 20th for trade on the trading system. But I turn it to you. What do you think about this kind of situation? Were you pretty peeved by the fact that they were charging caliber for the trade and then also taking a cut of that caliber yourself? Do you feel like this is a great change, a huge win for the community? Or are you someone that was kind of in the middle? You didn't really care either way. You probably weren't going to be using the trade system anyways. Or maybe you're on the far other side of the fence and that it didn't really bother you. You're so used to these kind of things, and maybe you're just desensitized, and maybe not. You don't really care. It just didn't seem like much of a problem. You're glad that there's less caliber as part of that system, but now it's going to be gold, and so there you go. Let me know where your head is at on that one, and for this specific issue for the First Descendant, and hopefully everyone's looking forward to the patch on Thursday. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.